In the few years I worked as a playback singer in India, I was able to work with some legendary status music directors from South India, Mr. A.R.Rahman, Yuvan Shankar Raja, Illayaraja sir, Harris Jayaraj, D.Imman, and so many more. In today's episode, I am going to share some of my stories and experiences that I had with these legends inside the studio during sessions. Some of them funny stories and some of them just stories. So stick around till the end. Hey souvenirs, welcome back to my channel. My name is SUVI. I am a singer, songwriter, rapper based in California and South India. And on this channel, we talk about tools and strategies based out of my real life experiences that will help you live a fulfilling, creative, and happier life. So today we are going to talk about some fun stuff, like things that went on in the studio. I got a call back from Rahman sir, Illayaraja sir, and Yuvan Shankar Raja around the same time, and it was very exciting. At this point, I was already working some background music for film scores with Rahman sir. This was the first time I got called in to work on songs, so it was very exciting, and it was lead vocals in songs or in background scores, a lot of fun stuff. I still remember the first time I walked into the studio, my heart was racing, but I reminded myself to focus on my breathing, stay grounded, stay present, and that always helped. Even at a very young age, I would practice all these mindful techniques. I was 21 at this point, many years ago. Anyways, I would practice these mindfulness tactics just to bring my mind back to the present, right? Because most of the time we are nervous because we are overthinking in our brain. So I would remember just bringing myself back to the present moment and be like, just do what you are asked to do. Don't worry about anything else, right? You'll be fine. I started working on a lot of projects with Rahman sir. Name a few. Started with Guru, Ravanan, Blue, Highway, Gajni, and the list goes on. I learned so much from Rahman sir in the studio. His work ethic is impeccable. The way he focuses on a project is something that everyone can learn about, and his passion is a whole different level of achievement. That being said, one of the stories that I clearly remember and I cannot ever forget was, at this point I had just established myself as SUVI. I told you my real name was Sweta, Sweta, however you want to pronounce it. I'm cool with it. I say Sweta. And I decided to rebrand myself as SUVI, so my demo and everything had been sent in with that name, and Rahman sir had seen this demo, and that's why I got the call back, as I mentioned. And I'm in the studio with another singer. I remember just spacing out in between the session. He was doing some production stuff, recording, setup things in the studio. We were in the vocal booth, just looking through the glass, and I'm spacing out, looking up at the ceiling, doing all these weird things that I always did. And in the back of my head, I could hear his voice say, SUVI, 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 SUVI. So the other singer that I was singing with shakes me and was like, hey, sir is calling you. And I was like, oh, what's up? I'm sorry, excuse me. And he goes, which means your name is SUVI, right? I was like, yes, sir, but it's very new. And he's like, what? I just recently changed my name and I'm still not used to being called SUVI, so that was my bad. I shouldn't have done that. I'll pay more attention to my name. So this went on for a while. For a good 3-4 months, I would introduce myself to people as SUVI, and then I would just not respond to them when they call me or address me. I came across as such a snootball. It was hilarious. In my head, when I realized, oh snaps, that's my name, they're calling me. It was just this moment of, what? But at 21, when you get rebranded for your own self as SUVI, you have to change some wiring in your brain. And it was just a funny period, all in all. And I remember we were recording for this film Guru with Abhishek Bachchan and Aishwarya Rai. The other thing that was hilarious, this happened not in Chennai. This was in his Los Angeles studio. I had gone in to work on some song, I can't remember at this point, with him. Sir had called me in. I go in and we're waiting. There's Sid Sriram. There's another singer whose name I cannot remember since I've not been in this industry for a while now. We're all sitting in the waiting room and out of nowhere walks in my favorite rapper ever. Like, was dumbfounded. It was J. Cole. J. Cole walks into the studio. He has himself with a backpack and one person along with him, no crazy entourage, humble as fuck. Like, he just walks in and anybody could have noticed me gawking at this gorgeous man and rapper, and I'm just like there dumbfounded. He was really sweet. He was 2 times my height. I was like,
oh, hi, nice to meet you.
It was hilarious. I go over and he's standing there. We just introduce ourselves and he says, hi, so humble, down to earth. I introduced myself as an artist as well, and he had come into the studio to work on a project with Rahman sir. I have no idea what this project was. It was something else that I wasn't doing. So don't ask me more questions about that, or you can. I might know more details. But that happens, and then I make my way into the kitchen to make tea, and Rahman sir was so cute. He's such an innocent human being. He comes over to me because clearly he saw me gawking and being dumbfounded at J. Cole. He comes over to me. He's like, is he a big star? And I was like, yes, sir, he really is. Like, what? It was just one of those moments where you realize, like, my world was just colliding, right? I'm standing with a legend from India who is clearly the epitome of music production, creation, direction, composing from India, and then the other side that I was always obsessed with, and to rap from an artist that I look up to so much is standing on the other side, and the worlds were colliding. Realizing, I was telling myself, oh my god, I am so blessed right now in this moment to be enjoying this situation. Not too many people get to like that, so I was definitely very grateful. With Yuvan Shankar Raja, who is another brilliant music composer and clearly someone who helped my career the most in the playback industry. I remember getting the call back and going into the studio and singing the first song, and I'm very nervous, practicing my mindful techniques, mindfulness and breathing and all of that. Mind you, I am 21 years old. I didn't come from a background of musicians or being a singer, none of that. I was just learning music at that point for the first time since I started doing work professionally. I'm recording in the studio, and as I'm singing, he asks, Ivanga classical singer, meaning, is she a Western classical vocalist or singer? Mind you, I was getting trained in Western classical music at this point, so the reason he asked was at the end of my vocals, there would always be these fast trills, like like that, just like that lift-off voice. I would end like that, and he clearly wasn't a big fan of it, or maybe he was, I loved it in my voice, and he ended up leaving that part in the song. If you listen to this song, you can clearly hear the ending where he left that piece behind, and when I come out of the studio, another staff member is standing there. He's basically looking at me and going, meaning, don't you speak Tamil? I was so ashamed of myself when he asked me that question. I didn't know where to put my face, but in that moment, I told myself, I am going to learn and understand and speak Tamil the proper way. I did end up telling him that I am a Malayali, so my accent is a little different from pure Tamil accent, but that wasn't an excuse. So if you notice, from there on moving forward, all my Tamil songs will have like very strong Tamil pronunciation, because I said I'm going to figure this out. I'm not going to have anybody come over to me and ask. Now I even like write a little bit here and there in Tamil, because I love the language. It's such a beautiful language and I have so much respect for it. But that was like the moment I decided to myself, I have to become better at this language. This song was part of this movie called Saroja, and the song's name was Kodana Kodi. It ended up becoming a massive hit. And to this day, I keep getting messages and tags from fans of that song because of my voice on that song. So for that, I'm super grateful for Yuvan. We ended up working on a lot of tracks after that. Like, yeah, I can't even remember at this point. Taramani, Nalamdana, which was a Simbu movie. At least like tracks in the time that I was there, which as a playback singer, I was really only in that industry for 3 years, not too long. The other person I want to talk about is Illayaraja sir. This is legend of the legends, right? Like from an earlier era, from like 70s, 80s. He's like predecessor to A.R.Rahman and much, much senior composer. When I got a call to go into a studio, first thing, my call time was 7 a.m. in the morning. Who has a full voice, an operational voice at 7 in the morning? Not me, not this person. So I had to make sure I woke up at 5 that day in order to warm up my vocals, and I was like, I was doing all of those things early in the morning, full volume in my house, trying to get ready and open up my voice by 7 o'clock. So nervous, I walked my way into the studio. I see the legend. He's sitting there. He made me sing a bunch of songs. It was incredible. I was shitting bricks. It was so humbling, at the same time nerve-wracking. This man is truly like genius at so many levels, right? Like, he has this calm demeanor. He's very straightforward. He look you into your soul and tell you what you need to sing, and you're intimidated. I was so intimidated. And he like let the sheet music and just read the melodies to you, and you're like, okay. And yeah, the few recording sessions that I have had with this person, I learned so much about commitment, about passion, about just being involved in a project as much as he was. I have heard, this part I don't know, but I have heard stories that this legend would sit in front of a whole movie in order to do background score and write the whole score as he's watching the movie, and then hand it over to his musicians. Not sure how far this is true, but this is the legend. I've heard this, and I walk into the studio knowing all this. I was just so overwhelmed. But all in all, few years that I spent as a playback singer in India, definitely one of the moments that will go down in my personal history. One of my favorite experiences working as a playback singer was with this music director. His name is D.Imman. Very, very talented, very underrated in my opinion, but still a legend in his own way. I was pleasantly surprised by how his demeanor was towards me as an artist. He was so respectful, very kind, very gentle. He knows how to tap into you as an artist and get the best out of you without making you feel like you're not doing a good job. Like I said, when I was a playback singer, I was very young. I was between 20 and 24 years old. That was like the stint I had, and I did not come with a lot of training and background. So for him to make me feel comfortable, it was the best feeling ever. Because of that, he actually ended up squeezing out of me this voice that I didn't even know existed in me. and we sang this song. The song is called Odi Odi Vilayaadu. It out to become like massive. I keep getting hit up by people saying how much they like all over the world. Tamil people from all over the world reach out to me and say how much they love this song. He got me to change my voice to this tone that I never knew existed in me, and to this day, like, I use some of that tonal expression in my rap kind of to go into characters and stuff. Definitely a golden experience for me. This next individual that I worked with, I've only worked on one song with him. His name is Anirudh. He and I haven't really worked in person with each other. I had already moved to America at this point, so we worked remote, and I only talked over the phone with him. Again, very gentle. I just love human beings who treat other human beings, no matter what level of fame and success you've attained. If you can still be down to earth and humble, but also know your value, your worth, confident, but not arrogant. There's a fine line between that. He treads that line so beautifully. Very, very, very talented music director. He and I worked well. It's from this movie called Indian 2. The song is called The Calendar Song. It didn't do really well, but still it was a great experience working on the song. I personally love the song. If you haven't heard it, you should check it out. This one just came out in 2024 too. So one of my more recent Tamil songs that's come out. Working with these legends can be very overwhelming, right? So I used to have these little hacks. I would make myself feel comfortable because there's a lot of waiting time involved. Most of these people are working on multiple projects at the same time. With Illayaraja sir, I never really had to wait. But with most other artists, music directors, there was a lot of waiting time, and I started developing this system where I would carry a little snack with me, obviously a lot of tea, a lot of water, but I also carried with me like a facial mist, like I would go when I'm feeling like tired, and I would go spray some rose water spray on me, or I would have like nice little lip balm that I will put on, because you're sitting inside these really, really cold temperature studios and everything. Eventually your skin is just shriveling up into a dry piece of twig. So I would have all these little hacks that I would just like spray or apply, and it will help bring me back to this present moment, because mind you, when you're not in the present moment, then you're going to go and live rent-free in your head, meaning you're going to just overthink about,
oh my god, what if my voice doesn't show up today? Oh my god, what if I cannot hold my pitch today? Oh my god, what if he doesn't like my voice today, or she doesn't like my, or what if this?
So many questions running around in your head. So I would just do these little things. If you're aspiring to become a playback singer or a singer, or spend a lot of time in studios, this is something that you can remember for yourself. Take something with you that is comforting for you, like anything that keeps you nice, or I'll take a little book with me, or a little journal I'll write down, because oh my goodness, the longest time I have spent in a studio is
72 hours.
I remember I was working on one project with Rahman sir, and I stayed continuously in the studio for 72 hours, and it was no joke. I was very excited to be spending all my time there, because I was this over enthusiastic young kid who just wanted to be in that environment all day every day. But when I got back home, I fell asleep and slept in for 19 hours to make up to the 72 hours of no sleep. So things like that are bound to happen, and if you love doing what you love to do, it won't be that difficult in that moment. But you gotta make sure that you cater to your soul, and so you're not burning yourself out, right? And one of my other favorite things in all of these studios, especially in India, in Chennai, was every studio would have amazing catering. Like in-house food was so yummy, and me being a foodie and loving to eat South Indian food most of the time. This was such a blessing. Like lunchtime came, I would be so excited. Like the in-house caterers, like one day just like spread of meals that you can go and eat from. It'd be simple food for like bystander. They'll be like, oh, I want to get some burger. But nah, not me. I loved the local catering at Illayaraja sir studio or Yuvan's studio or Rahman sir studio. They'll like whatever you ask for, they'll just bring it. It was so good. The foodie in me was so happy, and that was definitely an attraction for me in these studios because we're working hard. So all these little things that you can do to accentuate this experience, I wanted to make sure that I did that in order to be in the present, so I can remember these moments to tell you guys 15 years later. If I wasn't there mentally, I wouldn't remember these stories for all these years, right? I did that, and I'm so proud of myself for having like catalog of these experiences in my kitty bag so I can share it with you guys. So for anyone who's out there who are younger and or older, if you're just wanting to start or a singing career, just understand that being in the present moment when you're in a studio and not occupying space in your brain because you're overthinking is going to be the most helpful tool you can have in your bag to be your operational and creative best. Anyways, that's the end of this studio. If you stuck around till the end and you liked my content, then please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe and share so that I can keep creating more such entertaining / value driven content to help others or just to give you an insight into how people work in this industry. And until I see you the next time, stay aware, stay focused, and stay creative. Bye.